What's up, guys? It's Seth back with another Defense Wins Fantasy, part of the Fantasy Hawks Podcast Network. IDP Championship Week. For most people out there, that's what we're at. That's what we're doing. So how we handling the situation? How we feeling out there? Feeling good? Feeling strong? Feeling chaotic as all get out? All natural. You didn't get here alone. We're going to make sure that you have some, oh my goodness, what happened to my best players kind of situation. Luckily, there wasn't a tremendous amount of injuries in the last week, but typically where we're at in championship week is you somehow have pulled miracle after miracle out to get to the final game where now you're playing up against Shao Kahn, right? The team that's lost one game all year, their offense is just terrifying. Their defense is pretty solid. You need some players that are going to come through in the clutch. Well, that's what we're here for, at least on the defensive end. We'll try to take care of what we can. So with that being said, let's get started. Edge rushers, D-ends, D-line, outside linebackers, if they have an edge rush capability onto them. Two guys that I really want to talk about is one, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Mr. J.J. Watt. He did announce his retirement this week. First off, kudos on a wonderful career. You deserve your retirement. I hope you have all great things happen to you the rest of your life. You have been an absolute class act in the NFL. On and off the field. I mean, you were the Houston Texans. And there's no denying that they were not happy when they selected you out of Wisconsin. But boy, did you win that city over. Not only that, but an IDP absolute stud for a 2 to 3 year run, the likes that only Aaron Donald has really even became close to how good J.J. Watt was. Because even during that run, he caught some touchdown passes. They threw him in there as the tight end and ran some out routes with him. You were getting points you didn't even know you could score with this man. It was phenomenal. And I'll tell one story about a league of ours with J.J. Watt before I get on to the rest of the people and have a little conversation about what we're trying to do this week as win our championship. But we had a trade, and this was early on in our fantasy Dynasty IDP league, where a guy, basically it was pretty much a straight up deal, J.J. Watt for Aaron Rodgers. Now we're talking 8 years ago, probably 9 years ago. It was a while ago in this IDP league. So Aaron Rodgers was real live Aaron Rodgers at that point in time, just absolute killing it. And then you got a guy that's trading for a defensive end, trading a quarterback out for a defensive end. And our entire league was just like, this trade can't go through. It is just not fair. The guy that's getting J.J. Watt doesn't understand how points work. Fast forward to the future. J.J. Watt helped win that guy 2 championships. The guy that got Aaron Rodgers is yet to win a championship. And then he traded J.J. Watt right before the bottom fell out on him and he started having a couple injury-prone seasons there for a boatload of items. And it just goes to show you, it's whenever you think that a trade might be completely terrible and one-sided, that don't reject them. Don't try to become the holier-than-thou and know what people are thinking, because had we got involved and did something to stop this trade from going through, how aggravated would the guy that got J.J. Watt be watching that guy turn into the player that he thought he could be and absolutely just dominate the league for multiple years at the DN position. So kudos to you, J.J. Watt. I will miss watching you play. Guess I'll just have to stick with Derek and TJ at this point in time. But I talk about J.J. Watt because he is on my edge rushers list this week. Before, you get at me for playing, it's a retirement card. Dude, this dude's been really productive the last few weeks. He had 6 total tackles from the DN spot last week, 5 total the week before that, along with 3 sacks and a sack the week before that. I'm not saying he's going to have a 3-sack performance, but he will have at least 1 sack in this game. Congratulations on the retirement. Well deserved. But I want to see you go out with at least 1 more sack on your stat sheet. The next guy we're going to talk about is more in the edge rusher category. In some leagues, he might be D-line eligible, which in that league, fantastic. But it's Josh Uche of the New England Patriots. Now, he's had a bit of a roller coaster year. He's, had really big weeks and then kind of disappeared. But he has been, when he's had his weeks, he's been extremely productive. And this week, he's going up against a weak right tackle of the Miami Dolphins, as well as Teddy Tuslow at QB. Josh McDaniels' offense is predicated on speed, timing, and the times that Teddy's played this year, you have seen that he is absolutely a tick slower than Tua behind center. He holds onto the ball too long, and he's, like I said, on this offense, you have to be getting it out early, and you have to get that ball on time. And I think that we're going to have issues with that happening with Teddy Two Gloves behind center. So Matt Judon obviously is an auto start as well for you, but Josh Uche is a guy that might still be out on the waivers just because he's so unpredictable this season. You could pick him up, and I'd expect at least a sack out of him this year. This week is the week that I think Josh Uche is going to get 2 sacks against the Dolphins. He's going to come off that edge hard, and it's not going to be pretty. So we're going to move on to some linebackers, and this is where we're at, with some of these linebackers. And Tony Fields is the first guy I'm going to talk about. If you don't know who Tony Fields is, he plays for the Cleveland Browns. Their entire linebacker core is basically just injured. So Fields is coming off a 9-tackle performance off of 42 snaps last week. He's got the ability to play and have a big tackle game against Carson Wentz-led Commanders. They're going to run the ball. They're going to shorten it up. Washington's going to try to not lose this game, and Cleveland's going to be able to get the tackles. I mean, they just have nobody else even to rotate out, It's one of those situations where he's going to be on the field because, hell, what else are they going to do? So the opportunity's there. He's shown that he can get a high tackle number. I expect the Cleveland Browns defense to be on the field for at least 50 snaps this week, if not more. So I expect that Fields is probably going to take almost all of those snaps. So if you're in dire straits and you need a linebacker, pick him up. Another guy, dire straits, need a linebacker. Joe Thomas, the Chicago Bears. He stepped in for Jack Sanborn after he had a season-ending injury last week or 2 weeks ago during the game. So last week was his first full game, and he played every defensive snap against Buffalo. That's a big key indicator, obviously. We've talked about it all year. He had 6 solo tackles and 1 assist. And Buffalo is weird when it comes to like the inside linebackers. They don't give up a whole lot of points to them just because of how their offense is much more pass heavy. When they run it a little bit more outside. They just are a little bit quirky when it comes to, if you're not having one of those linebackers be a spy on Josh Allen, their volume is normally a little lower when it comes against Buffalo. So having 6 solo tackles and 1 assist, to me, is a pretty good indicator that he's getting to the ball and he's gonna be all right. I'd expect this week his floor to be 6 tackles with a lot more upside against the Lions. Once again, you're coming in, you're just needing somebody. Maybe you have a flex defensive position and you're trying to find somebody. This isn't the week to hope and pray that a cornerback gets an interception if you know that a solid 10 to 15 point player is going to get you that title. Go for some high floor guys. Maybe only throw one of those crazy upside guys in there. Maybe that one guy is Reed Blankenship for the Eagles. That's one of my defensive back picks. It's a rookie. He was injured in week 14 and missed week 15, but he's back healthy. And last week he had 8 total tackles. He played all but 3 snaps in that game. And he'll be a starter again against the Saints. I expect another high tackle 4 with big play upside to get your fantasy championship. You'd expect the Saints to be playing from behind. Granted, I know Gardner Minshew is playing quarterback on the other side, but that doesn't mean they're not going to pass the ball on the Saints sideline. Expect him to come downhill, expect him to get tackles, but also expect him to be in coverage and have that ability to pick a ball off if the timing's right. I will really, really like Reed Blankenship this week, once again, for the Philadelphia Eagles. The final guy that we're going to talk about, once again, we're doing a little short and sweet this week. You've got enough of other decisions to make. Our final guy is a guy that is getting the tip of the hat due to an injury last week. Budda Baker for the Arizona Cardinals fractured his shoulder Sunday, so he's out. So that means that there's an open slot on a tackle-heavy secondary for the Cardinals. Those 2 guys, Chris Banjo and Charles Washington. It's safe to say that I don't have the cojones to start either of those 2 guys in this game. No, I am going after Jalen Thompson. He has had a down year this year, probably to the point where some people have dropped him after he had such a stellar 2021 season. But I expect a huge game from Jalen Thompson this week. I'm expecting him to just absolutely be the guy that's tackling everybody in that secondary. He's got the instincts. He knows where the ball's going to be. I expect him to dominate the stat sheet, and he could be the key to your fantasy championship. So those 2 defensive backs I feel really good about. As far as if I'm ranking my comfort level with the players that I've told you, Jalen Thompson's 1, probably Blankenship's 2, Uche 3, J.J. Watt 4, and then the 2 linebackers are a coin flip of 5 and 6 because they are injured guys. You're going to get a crapshoot if you get a sack or some big play out of those 2 guys. But we need to focus on big play out of your defensive backs. But if you have a flex position, maybe go a little bit more stable to make sure that you keep up with the other team. Defense wins championships because you're going to have those guys that do have the spark plays. But they're going to come from the guys that have been on the field the most. Opportunity breeds fantasy points when it comes to defense. We've talked about it all year. All these guys that I talked about are having big-time opportunities in Week 17. So go out there, say a little prayer, watch the games, be happy, be sad, enjoy the Fantasy Football Championship, and hopefully we'll be talking to you guys next week while you guys got the dub. Moving forward after the season, we're going to start diving into, first off, we're going to review the season. Second off, we're going to start diving into some of the possibility of rookies. And when we get into free agency time, we'll start talking more about, hey, what does this mean for my team? Whether a guy comes to a team, leaves a team, or takes a place of somebody on a team, we got you covered. All right? So good luck this week. And remember that defense wins fantasy. See you next week.